Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie and today I'm going to be sharing with you my all-time favourite series. Okay, so let's get started. First, I just wanted to thank everyone for the amazing response to my first video. My heart is so happy and yeah, all your support means the absolute world. And yeah, so hopefully you continue to enjoy my content. So I'm going to start with my very top favourite series. So this is like god tier. And if you follow me at all on Twitter or know me in any way, then this will not be a surprise. But that is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. So this is Oathbringer Part 2, because the UK editions, because they're such big books, I think Oathbringer is like 1,300 pages or something. They get split into two parts, which personally I prefer, because then as you're reading it, it feels like you're getting through it a bit quicker, because you can be like, oh, I finished a book now, when you're only actually halfway through. But yeah, so Oathbringer I think is my favourite of the three. I know it's not everyone's favourite. Most people think Words of Radiance is the best, but personally I love Oathbringer just because kind of the characters are really starting to come together as a group. So in each Stormlight book you follow a different kind of main character and you get different flashbacks from them, and in this one you get Dalinar. Now I think Kaladin and Shallan, who are the other two, so Kaladin you get in Way of Kings and Shallan you get in Words of Radiance. I think those two are my favourites, but I really love Dalinar's arc in Oathbringer. But yeah, so the Way of Kings, it follows Kaladin, Shallan and Dalinar. And in the first one, Kaladin is kind of a slave on his way to these things called the Shattered Plains, where there's a war going on. And he's basically, you're just kind of following him, his journey. Shallan is she's going to this princess, well, in the world, they're called Bright Lords and Bright Ladies, which is actually the name of my channel, is Brightness. That's what they call kind of noble ladies. So Shallan is going to Jasna, who is a bright lady. She's trying to steal a device, basically. So she's trying to scam Jasna, basically. And then Dalinar is the High Prince. So he is at where the war is, where Kaladin's gone. And he's kind of one of the 10, I think it's 10, who are in charge. So yeah, and it's set on the world of Rashar, which is kind of a world that is ravaged by high storms. So that creates some really interesting ecology. The plants and stuff, they all kind of close up. And yes, everything kind of has like exoskeletons. So yeah, it's amazing. The characters are all so good. There's such good mental illness representation as well. All the characters are struggling with something. Yeah, Kaladin is one of the best representations of depression I've ever seen. I've actually had depression and it's just so good. Yeah, Dalinar has PTSD and also, I don't really know how to explain it, but he just kind of is becoming a better person, basically. Shallan has every problem under the sun, basically. But she is a really interesting character. Yeah, and there's loads of other characters as well. It's a massive ensemble cast. But yeah, if there's one series that you take away from this video, Stormlight Archive is the best. Yeah, so next is, so I'm going to get all the Sanderson out of the way first, because he's like basically my favourite author. So next is Warbreaker. So this is the UK edition. Oh, I live in the UK, so yeah, so that is, I really love this cover actually, and there's a little rainbow on the back. So yeah, so Warbreaker is a standalone actually, but it is set in the Cosmere, which is kind of his wider universe. It follows two sisters, so Ciri and Vivenna, and initially, so Vivenna's been prepared all her life to go to this court of gods to be the God King's wife. But then her father actually decides, oh no, I'm going to send Ciri instead. So Ciri is quite like away with the fairies. She's quite a kind of wild almost. She just doesn't really have a care in the world. But she gets sent in Vivenna's place. So she gets sent to be the God King's bride. So you follow her kind of trying to navigate the court, and yeah, the God King, who is kind of a spoiler, but is one of the best plot twists in history of plot twists. He's a really good character. And and then Vivenna actually follows her to the city and basically gets embroiled in a big rebellion. And yeah, you follow some of the characters as well. There's Lightsong, who is one of the gods, not the God King, but he's kind of one of the gods, and he's sort of questioning his godhood. And also Vasha, who is a swordsman and his sword Nightblood, who is the talking sword basically. So that's not a reason to read the book then, or what is. But yeah, so that's Warbreaker. So yeah, I really love. The magic system is really cool as well. So you have breath. So each person has one breath, and you can collect more breaths. So the more breaths you have, the more kind of unlocked you are basically. You can see colours more vividly, smell things more vividly, and you can also awaken objects. So you kind of give your breaths to these objects and then they kind of come to life like little animated objects. So that's that one. So the final Sanderson series is Mistborn. So particularly the first era, so that is the Final Empire, Hero of Ages and Well of Ascension. So you can't quite see, I've got the fancy editions. I treated myself to them. But yeah, so this one is the Well of Ascension, because this is, I think, my favourite of the three, but I do love them all. But this one mainly because Vin and Elend's relationship is so cute. They're like kind of doubting themselves in this one, and there's this scene where they both go to one of the older characters and they're like, oh, I don't know if he likes me, or I don't know if she likes me. And yeah, there's one of my favourite scenes in fiction. But yeah, so yeah, this one's really good. It's a bit slow at the beginning, but it kind of builds up to an amazing finale. Yeah, so Mistborn is a really, I think it's known for its magic system, and basically you can ingest metals and then you burn them, and each metal gives you different powers. And then you have these people called Mistborn who can use all the metals, or you have Mistings who can just use one of the metals. And in the first book, it follows a crew of characters who are trying to take down the Lord Ruler, who is kind of what the name implies. He's the like overarching ruler of the world. It's quite oppressive. It's quite a dark world, especially in this era one. The other books, starting with Alloy of Law, they're like era 2. I really like those as well. I gave them all 5 stars. They're a bit kind of lighter, a bit fluffier. And the world's kind of, the ending of these books, the world changes a lot. So in era 2 it's quite different, but in this one, yeah, it's quite dark. It's kind of a aesthetic, if you will. So that is that one. So next I'm going to talk about the Shadowhunters books. So I've loved Shadowhunters since I was a wee baby, and well, not a baby, but since I was about 11. So I think in my school library they used to have the Mortal Instruments, which is the first series, and I used to read them. The school librarian loved me. I would just read like every book in the library. But so yeah, so I read them. So I read the first 3 Mortal Instruments, and I did really like them at the time. Like 12-year-old me was quite invested in Clary and Jason, but I was a bit upset when they were siblings, so I had to obviously read ahead to the last page and check. But yeah, Mortal Instruments will always have kind of a special place in my heart, but I'm not sure it's really the best series out there. But I do really, really love the Infernal Devices. So this is the collector's edition of Clockwork Angel. So yeah, I love this series a lot. Will, Tessa and Jem are the 3 main characters, and you're kind of following Tessa as she comes, so she's American and she comes to the UK, so set in Victorian England, and she basically gets kidnapped, and then so you don't really know what she is, and she gets rescued by the London Shadowhunters, and then it's kind of her discovering her powers. Yeah, so that's that one. Yeah, Jem is just the best, and also he's such a sweetheart. The setting for this one is really good. I love all the London stuff. I love London. It's a great city. Yeah, and Clockwork Princess is one of the best series finales. And also there is a love triangle in the series, but I think it's a really well done love triangle. They kind of all love each other equally, which is really nice to see, because I think in real life, I mean, I'm not sure love triangles occur that often, but I feel like if they did, it would probably be between kind of 3 really close friends. So yeah, so that is Clockwork Angel. So my 3, I think I have 3, like, there was a tier ranking going around Twitter a few weeks ago where you could like rank everything, and there was like God tier, which is the best. So I think the 3 God tier Shadowhunter books for me would be Clockwork Princess, which is the final book in the Infernal Devices, and then the Dark Artificers, Lady Midnight. So I also love the Dark Artificers. I have them on my Kindle, so I'll put a picture up. So they kind of follow a next generation of Shadowhunters, and it's the first one, like, so Lady Midnight, it's kind of a murder mystery, which is really good. I really like that, and there's such a wide, huge cast of characters, And also it has Kit, who is one of my favourite Shadowhunters. I just love how sassy his points of view are. But yeah, so, and it also has the Dark Artifices has quite a fae spin on it. So I really like that as well, because I do like fae books, like fairy books. So yeah, so there's that one. And then I just read in March Chain of Gold, which is the third God tier book. So it's so good. I love all the characters so much. Especially, I think my favourites are Cordelia. Obviously, she's like an absolute queen. And I really liked Alistair, actually. He's kind of, when you go into it, in the novellas, he's a complete, like, twat. But in this one, he really grows a lot. And I think Chain of Iron, which is the second book, it's not out yet. But I think we're probably going to see him kind of dealing with the consequences of his poor behaviour in the past. The collector's edition, because it's so good, and I love Shadowhunter's books, so I could justify the cost. But yeah, so this one is amazing, and it's actually really good. So I love ghost stories, like any books involving ghosts. Yeah, Ninth House I really loved, and I read a middle grade recently which had ghosts in, but I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the description if I can remember it. But yeah, so this one had quite a lot of ghosts in, and also kind of a lot of demons, which kind of getting back to its Shadowhunter roots, which is good. But yeah, the characters are amazing in this one. Yeah, I've already mentioned Cordelia and Alistair, and also Anna Lightwood. She's so, like, I would love to be her. Well, she's just so confident, and she knows what she is. And yeah, so that's that one. And also I love Matthew Fairchild, actually. But he was suffering a lot in this book, which made me feel for him. But I do think it's really good of Cassandra Clare to do a kind of alcoholism storyline. So I think that's really going to be a good, and I'm sure she can handle it well in the next books. So yeah, so that is that one. So next I'm going to talk about the 7/Shattered Realms series by Cinda Williams-Chime. 7 Realms is the first series that she has. The first one is called The Demon King. I'll put a picture. I don't actually own them physically. I have them on my Kindle. So yeah, so they follow Han and Racia. Racia is a princess, and she's kind of just navigating court life, basically. And Han he's sort of a gang leader in the village. He's like a cross between Kaz Brekker and Nikolai from the Grishaverse. And yeah, so he actually discovers this magical amulet, which belonged to the Demon King, which gets him in a bit of trouble, and then the story just kind of follows them. I just love the Shattered Realms world. It's so kind of nostalgic, but also it kind of feels like the Austrian mountains. I don't know why I think of that when I think of it, but it's just the kind of fells and a bit of the Lake District as well thrown in there. I didn't personally know much about Native American history, but you do get that kind of sense as well, because there's some tribes that live up in the mountains. So yeah, so I really enjoy that series, but I wouldn't say it's like my all-time favorite series. But then the spin-off series from that, so that follows the descendants of the 7 Realms, which is Shattered Realms. So the first book for that is Flamecaster, so I'll pop it there. And that is one of my all-time favorite series. I've read it like 3 times within a year. It's so good. All the characters are just amazing. I can't really tell you what it's about without spoiling the first series, but it does follow the children, and it also brings dragons into the world, which is awesome, and pirates as well. So yeah, it has everything in a fantasy book you could want, basically. And the characters are also amazing. I've said that so much. I'm such a character-driven reader. You have the kind of warrior princess in Alyssa, and you also have the kind of wild dragon rider in Jenna, and also the kind of charming pirate and the kind of ruthless spy master, who is one of the best characters. And also there's a character as well called Lila, who reminds me a bit of Lila Bard from the Dark Shade of Magic series, but she's just so much better than Lila Bard. I like Lila Bard, but this Lila is just the best Lila in fiction, basically. She's like a spy smuggler, and you don't kind of know which side she's on at first. Just goes for what she wants, and she's kind of quite cunning, but she's also really honourable and kind of brave. And so that's that one. And obviously it's set in the same world as well as 7 Realms, so I love that world. So sorry the camera angle changed a bit. I was on my knees, but now I'm sat cross-legged because my knees were sore. So next up, I'm going to talk about The Long Way to the Small Angry Planet. So this isn't actually fantasy, it's sci-fi, but who cares, they're kind of lumped together anyway. The Wayfarer series, there's a bunch of them, but I think this one is my favourite. And it just kind of follows a crew of a ship. It doesn't have much of a plot really, it just kind of follows the character. The writing is really comforting, it's quite relaxing to read, and the characters are all just so endearing and heartwarming. Really, and there's a really good friendship in this one actually, Kizzy and Jenks. And the scene at the end when they're talking to each other and they're saying, I can't remember exactly what they're saying, but it almost made me cry. I hardly ever cry in books. There's like a few instances, but this scene at the end is just for like any kind of sibling relationship or close friends who kind of basically are siblings. It just always gets me. So yeah, so that's this one, and also honourable mention to the To Be Taught If Fortunate book. So this is also by Becky Chambers. She's one of my auto-buy authors. I would read anything she releases in the future, but this one is only a novella, so it's quite small. So I don't generally like novellas, but this one and Edge Dancer, which is a Stormlight novella, I love. They're two of my favourites. And this one is so I'm quite a scientist, so this one is, I think if you've done any sort of biology, so I did biology A-level, I don't do it at university, but like biology, I think you'll really like this one. And even if you don't, you probably still will. But it's kind of they're going to like 4 different planets, I think, and they're just kind of exploring the ecology there. And yeah, it's the same kind of heartwarming type feeling. But yeah, this one I really love. And the quote, which is what the title is based on, is, so we step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, and to be taught if we are fortunate. So that is actually a quote from a UN Secretary General in 1977, but that is just one of my favourite quotes of all time. Yeah, I think it's so good because teaching, actually, education, I think is one of my passions, and the career that I'm going into, hopefully, if I pass my degree, has a lot of opportunity for education. So I'm hoping I can get involved with that. But I love this and saying like how lucky we are to be able to be taught all these things, and the world now, we know so much in science and it's so exciting, and there's always new stuff to be learned. So yeah, I really love that quote. So next up is the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. So this series has been my favourite for a long time, well, since it came out basically. You can kind of see, I'll hold up Crooked Kingdom because you can see that one better. I can't choose between them. I love them both in their own way. But yeah, so I got the collector's editions because I've been spoiling myself recently on collector's editions of books. I had some extra money, so I wanted to spend it on books, obviously. But yeah, so I love it. So it follows, the first one, Six of Crows, follows kind of crew of characters as they're going on a heist. But the characters are all like so amazing, and I'm sure you know what they're about. But yeah, I really love them. I love Nina and her kind of self-confidence. It really helped me a lot in the past because I've had an eating disorder, and yeah, that just, her confidence in her body and just loving food, and that really helped me. And also, yeah, all the other characters were islands, such as Sweetheart and Kaz, obviously. Yeah, and Inej as well. I really love Inej. Yeah, all of them basically. And these editions actually have some really beautiful fan art in them. Yeah, so there's Nina, Matthias, and Jesper and Wyland. Oh. So they're there. So yeah, so I really love these ones as well. So next up is the Poppy War. So currently out are the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, and actually the Burning God, which is the final book, the cover just got released on the day I'm filming this, so that's quite exciting. But yeah, so the Poppy War is an amazing series. It's kind of based on kind of Chinese history, I think. But it's a completely fictional world. The Poppy War, the first book, you kind of follow Rin, who's the main character, as she goes to this school. And the first half of the book, you're kind of thinking, oh, it's a nice school setting, magical. They're all a bit crazy, but yeah. But then the second half just like rips your heart out. And then the Dragon Republic basically stabs you in the back. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I have a bit of a fictional kink for dumbass characters, and the characters in this book are quite dumb. So yeah, Rin is a bit, yeah, she just kind of does what anyone tells her, but she's also kind of feral. But yeah, she's a really good character. And then Kitai, who, yeah, I love Kitai. He's a little cinnamon roll. And yeah, so he's an amazing character as well. And also Neza, who is kind of basically Draco Malfoy. he's a better Malfoy than Malfoy, basically. So yeah, they're the three main characters, I would say. But yeah, it's really good. It's very dark. But yeah, the writing and the kind of consequences of war is amazing. And also, I really liked in this book how kind of drug addiction is explored, and also that kind of tied into the magic system, which is really cool. So yeah, so that's that one. And then also the next book I'm going to talk about is Jade City and Jade War. So I have them on my Kindle, so I don't have them to show you, but they're also amazing. They're also kind of Asian inspired fantasy. It's like basically the Peaky Blinders TV show, but in a kind of Asian inspired fantasy world. And they have this thing, so jade is a kind of commodity, and it gives people powers, and they kind of the kind of whole economy and everything is structured around that. And there are two clans who kind of control the jade, and you're following the family basically of one of the clans. Yeah, and it's quite political. It's a bit of a thriller, not really, kind of a fantasy thriller. But yeah, so I love the characters in that as well, and that is a really good series. And then finally, two more books or series. So the City of Brass, and Kingdom of Copper, and then Empire of Gold actually comes out really soon. So I really love that series as well. I listened to them all on audio. The audiobooks are really good. So that follows Nari, who accidentally summons a Deva one day, and she gets whisked away to the city of Davabad, and she has to kind of navigate the politics there. It also follows Alizade, who is one of the prince basically of Davabad, and their storylines do converge, but in the first book they're a bit separate. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see where their story goes in Empire of Gold. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But yeah, and then finally the Keeper of the Lost City series, which is a middle grade series. I have them all on audio. The audiobooks are really great actually as well. I love audiobooks. But yeah, the narrator, she kind of she sounds quite young at first, but then as the books get more progressed, she sounds a bit older. So I think that's really good as well. It's a bit similar to Harry Potter, but not really. So you follow Sophie, who in the first book she is an elf, but she doesn't know she is. So she's living with the humans, and then in the first book she gets taken away to the lost cities, who is the elven cities basically, and just kind of following her adventures there. In the first book she goes to this academy called Foxfire, which is where they learn. So that's kind of the similarity to Harry Potter, like the magic school type setting, and she's just kind of unraveling some of the mysteries surrounding her birth. And also there's kind of a few secret societies and stuff, so that's really good, and the characters are all so great. There is a bit in the later, towards the a few of the later books, there is a bit of a dubious relationship, but I think that kind of got sorted out in the Legacy, which is the most recent release. But yeah, it's such a fun middle grade series. If you need like that kind of if you have a hole in your heart from Harry Potter or Percy Jackson, which are also series I love, but they're not like my all-time favourite, that is the perfect series. And also they're quite long books, but they read really fast, so they're the perfect like binge series. So yeah, so that is everything. So thank you for watching. I hope you got some book recommendations if you haven't read any of these. If you have, or if you haven't, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk about them. So either tell me if you've read them and loved them, if you read them and you didn't like them, we can have a discussion, or if you want to read them now from watching this video. And yeah, thanks. So thank you again for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, so thank you. Bye.